This video was made possible by Masterworks. This is a blueprint of a 51,000 square foot property. It has several stories, but most notably, 3 of those are below ground level. These stories will house a massive swimming pool, gym, a car lift, and several car slots. If completed, this building will match the size of roughly 55 average homes. Oh, and did I forget to mention that this building is actually going to be a home for a single family? But that's not even the crazy part. See, this is actually the former Russian embassy in London that is now owned by the billionaire real estate mogul John Hunt, who is now looking to expand downwards, a trend that is being replicated across thousands of homes in London's most elite neighbourhoods, known as iceberg homes because of their deceiving outer appearances that hide 3 to 4 story levels full of luxurious amenities. But hang on a second. Why are London's super wealthy individuals digging down to expand their homes? I mean, this certainly isn't happening in New York or even other European cities like Paris. So what's going on here? Well, for the average renovator in London, the desire to build downwards is more out of necessity than anything else. Like many older European cities, London is strict regarding building codes and changing its historically significant structures. It's a practice that came up after World War II, when the city suffered severe landmark loss and sought to restore and rebuild what wasn't lost to preserve the heart and feel of the city. This also explains why London has so few skyscrapers and how they maintain the Victorian and Georgian looks that make it a tourist destination today. But these building codes make renovations a nightmare for anyone in the city. Take the Muse Houses as an example. Original Muse homes are all over central London and in high-end neighbourhoods like Chelsea, Notting Hill and Mayfair. These homes are popular mostly because of their tight-knit community and the 1800 to 1900s look. They're connected and expensive, with some ranging from 5 to 8 million pounds. The Muse look great, but that's because of strict permit and remodelling laws. Private estates and planning authorities that govern the original Muse structures prohibit any changes that will drastically affect the outward appearance. One could build upwards, but the Muse and other London homes offer a uniformity that most residents don't want to be disrupted by uneven skylines. Now, there is a law that came into effect in 2020 that allows the addition of 2 stories on pre-existing homes without planning permission. However, this law excludes any homes built before 1948. That means many of these Muse or Victorian style houses are out of luck. You're also stuck if your area is within a conservation or World Heritage site, which most of these older, more affluent neighbourhoods do. So with that in mind, London residents like Hunt sought to expand under their houses, where the regulation protocol was still pretty unclear. When Hunt began his expansion, the blueprint looked something like this. The usual mansion purchases are here: a tennis court, fully functioning gym, and the first of its kind, a moving car carousel where Hunt could display his vintage Ferrari collection. I mean, obviously you need one of those. Anyway, once complete, this will be a 22-meter deep structure. And of course, very expensive paintings will be found everywhere in this basement. And there is a very specific reason for that. See, in normal times, one could invest in alternatives like real estate or bonds for diversification. However, with a housing bubble approaching and bonds anticipating negative yields, those options are starting to look a lot less attractive, especially as inflation shows no signs of slowing down. And that's why I'm excited to introduce you to one asset that's been quietly added to the portfolios of billionaires for generations. It's blue chip art. These paintings aren't just for show though. They are investments. Contemporary art prices outpaced the S&P 500's total return by 164% from 1995 to 2021. The total wealth held in art is estimated to be worth 1.7 trillion and is projected to grow 900 billion by 2026. And for the first time in history, investors like you and I can get access to this asset class thanks to our sponsor, Masterworks. Masterworks is the only platform taking billionaire art collectors head on and allowing people like us to invest in the very same art that they do. The platform allows you to invest in fractions of iconic artwork worth millions, including from the likes of Banksy and Picasso, who happens to be favorites of mine. Getting started with Masterworks is super easy. It takes just a few clicks. Go to their website, create an account, browse some incredible artwork, and diversify your portfolio with these new assets. So go to the link in the description and sign up today. Thanks again to Masterworks for sponsoring this video. Alright, so these mega iceberg homes may be popping up here and there, but the basement building business is big. A 2018 study revealed that 4,650 basements were approved for construction from 2008 to 2017, and the plans for these expansions are staggering. 1,000 gyms, 376 pools, and 456 cinemas spread across areas like Chelsea, Westminster, Knightsbridge, Fulham, Notting Hill, and Kensington Point. And this is just for pre-existing homes. A closer study cites over 7,000 basements built in London homes from 2008 to 2017. While some are classified as your average standard basement with one floor and some extra amenities like a gym or home office, 785 of them are 2 stories, housing living quarters for nannies as well as media and game rooms. Then we have the 120 plus mega basements that are some 3 to 5 stories underground, all set to accommodate steam rooms, bunkers, jacuzzis, and an artificial beach in special cases. All of the above costs large amounts of money, with rates ranging from £500 to £4,000 per square foot, and the average expansion ranging 3,000 square feet and above. But as you could imagine, excavating these massive basements require a lot of time and noise. This means that on any given high-end street, you'll find a scene much like this. Large tarps covering conveyor belts full of rocks, dirt, and building material. It's not a pretty sight, and smaller builds can take 4 to 6 months to complete. But these million-dollar multi-story icebergs can mean a year or more of annoying drilling, dirt flinging, dust, and possible damage to neighbors' homes. Hunts's iceberg was already approved with construction underway when the French embassy and his neighbor Miss Berman filed a series of noise and air pollution complaints that sought to stop the multi-million-pound build. This threw the home into litigation that lasted nearly a decade. Other neighbors next to smaller builds find the construction to be ugly and loud, which I'd say is pretty understandable. But there's other reasons these basements are cause for concern. See, London has predominantly clay-based soil that absorbs the infamously rainy weather. But when you start to add basements that are 2 or more stories deep, you create an impenetrable cement structure in the already dense clay-based soil, straining water drainage. In cases of heavier rains, some residents fear that they'll sink into a hole of mush. Others claim that water that has no place to go will inevitably come up through their floorboards and walls. But when neighbors want to complain, they'll probably find an empty mansion, since the transnationals who own these apartments only use them as vacation homes. The question remains though, is the beautiful and expansive transformation worth the trouble and the costs? Well, for those who can afford it, such a payoff might outweigh the risk. After all, the land is theirs. Perhaps the true cost of basement builds lies in the impact they have on London as a whole. The city is one of the 6 major metropolitan areas in the world under the threat of sinking. London's key defense against floods, the Thames Barrier, has been overused as global sea levels rise due to climate change. If global temperatures are not regulated soon, experts predict that London will suffer from severe flash floods and storm surges and sink significantly by 2050. This would lead to massive floods in neighborhoods where basements don't allow the ground to effectively drain the surface water. Now, the number of requests for basements in Chelsea, Westminster, and Kensington slowed down after new rules limited the expansions to 1 story. But some still pursue the icebergs, despite the growing frustration and proven lack of functionality due to high maintenance when it comes to ventilation and mold control. Yet still, for those capable, expanding what they have and hoping for the best is better than moving out of the city that they've built their lives around. But that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.